Okay then guys, a quick impromptu video. I wasn't actually planning on making a video of this. For the last few years I've been weighing up the options about buying a cordless lawnmower, whether that be petrol or battery operated. And I've kind of been torn whether it'd be worth it or not. But I've decided in the end to go with battery rather than a petrol one because I've only got a tiny lawn and I don't want the hassle of it having to kind of empty the tank out and then reservice it every year, trying to get it running, because you know they can be a right pain sometimes, especially if you don't look after them. So I've gone with the Makita DLM 330 RT. Now this is the 18 volt version rather than the 36 volt version. And the reason I've gone for that is mainly because I've already got Makita tools. I've only ever had one 4 amp hour battery, which came with the first drill I bought. Since then I've got other tools, but I've not actually purchased any more batteries. So I've been wanting to purchase a battery, but due to the price I've kind of been put off. Well, I think it was Power Tool World I bought this from. I will leave a link in the video description. I did pay my own money for this, so I'm not affiliated with them in any way, shape or form. I used my own money to purchase this. But they were doing an offer where you buy any cordless gardening kit, that means with the charger and battery, then you can send off and get a free 5 amp hour battery. So obviously this comes with one 5 amp hour battery and a charger, and you can send off and get another one, which is 78 quid worth of battery for free. So now I'll actually have 3 batteries and it's all good. So I've had this for a couple of months now, not actually used it. The garden's been totally neglected. The lawn is at least 3 foot. Now I will say in advance, normally when it's really long I would trim it first, just to cut down in length, and then run the mower over it a couple of times, because even my corded mower would probably bog down and stop the length it is. And the reason I haven't done it up till now this year is because we haven't had enough dry periods. My garden lawn doesn't drain the best, so you need a good week, if not more, of dry weather to actually dry the ground out enough, because if you do it a couple of days after it's like you've had torrential rain, the lawnmower won't actually roll on the lawn, it just slides and it just churn up the lawn and it's horrible, and really need to sort the drainage out, but that's another story. So we've had some dry days for the last 5-6 days and some nice sun, which we don't get a lot of in this country. So I've decided I'm gonna unbox this, get it out and put it to the ultimate test. Now, I'm not sure if I've said it already, normally I would trim the garden first and then go over it with the lawnmower, but for a laugh I'm gonna see just how much power this has or hasn't got, and we're just gonna go for it. Don't judge me on the state of my garden, because it's not been touched for at least 3 years now, or 2.5 years. We were working on that. We'd ripped up the decking out the back. We had levelled the area out, put hardcore down, compacted that. I built the lean-to. We were going to do the patio, and then my wife, or late wife, was diagnosed with terminal cancer and everything came to a halt. And it's not been touched since then, so it looks a right mess. But now is the time to think about starting to sort the garden out. So the first thing we're going to do is mow my overdue, overgrown jungle. So quickly get it out the box. I'm not going to show you any assembly that might be required. I'm just going to show you quickly what comes in the box. So in the battery, got a few plastic knobs, spanner, charger. So that means now I've got 2 chargers, which is always a good thing. Grass box, I think this is 30 or 40 litre. It's not massive, but big enough. Now, when I got it, the battery was actually fitted to the lawnmower, but I took it out to fully charge it, so it should be fully charged, which it is. And then the handle is obviously attached by the cable, but you've got to fit the two parts together and fit it to the mower itself. So let's see if I can get this out. And there it is. And that's all you get in the box, other than the usual paperwork, instructions and etc. So I'll give you a quick close-up on the mower and then we're going to go out and have some fun. Well, I'll give you a quick look round the lawnmower. There's not much to it. Press this button, that opens up. That is where your battery slots in. And you get a red safety key. Now, if you don't have this inserted, this mower will not run. So even if the battery's in, if this is not, you can't start it. So you have to put that in place, and then it should start. So added safety feature, don't lose that whatever you do. Underneath, the base is actually plastic, as most of the cheaper ones are. Quite strong, sturdy, the usual hard plastic. There's your blade. You've got metal rods, plastic wheels, so nothing fancy. That is the underside. Single-handed height adjustment from 1 to 8, and it's really easy to adjust the height. This is at the lowest. Just pull that lever, slide it along and put it at whatever height you want. As you can see, it lifts up quite a way. Really easy. I really like that. It's easier than my other lawnmower because I had to turn that upside down and adjust the bar into different slots, whereas this one is obviously just and there's quite a lot of adjustment. I like that. Now at the back, you can either have it on mulch mode, which basically just chucks the cuttings out on your lawn. I know a lot of people like to do that because it's meant to encourage the new growth and whatever. There's pretty good advantages to doing that. If you want to use the box to collect the grass, take this bit out, and then this simply just hooks on, and that closes down, and that's as easy as it gets. Take it out, just lift it off, and then if you want to mulch your lawn, put that back in. Simple as that. The other nice thing about this lawnmower is the way it's designed to be stored. So you just release the cam levers on both sides and you can literally flip it over, and this is designed so it can be stored up against the wall in an upright position. So you can see it takes up very little room. Okay, so the mower actually has soft start, which is good. And the first cut, I'm actually cutting it on the highest setting, which is number 8. And I've got the collection box fitted to the mower, but unbeknown to me at this point, I've actually left the mulch plug in. So it's not actually filling the grass box, instead it's chucking the grass cuttings all over the ground. And somehow I didn't notice that. So at this point I went to check how full the box was and found it completely empty, and that's when I realised I'd actually left the mulch plug in. So I removed that and continued cutting the grass. So after completing the first cut on the highest setting, I then proceeded to lower the blade all the way down to number 1, which turned out to be a complete mistake, as you'll find out. And the lawnmower completely bogged down and the red light started flashing, and eventually it stopped altogether. So at first I was a little bit disappointed, thinking the battery life was actually really bad. But when I checked the battery, it was actually still on 4 bars. So I ended up removing the red safety key, flipping it onto its side, and that's when I realised that all the grass cuttings that had been dumped out on the grass were all clogged around the blade, causing it to completely grind to a halt. So once I cleaned all that out, I then proceeded to raise the height of the blade to, I think, halfway, which is position 4, and continued the second cut, and that actually enabled me to go over it a second time and pick up the majority of the clippings. And then after that I lowered it down to, I think, number 2, and nearly got a third cut done, and it worked a lot better once all the cuttings were collected. Okay, so that was the DLM 330 RT. Comes with a charger and one 18 volt 5 amp hour battery. So overall, what are my impressions? I've got to say, it actually exceeded my expectations. It's a brilliant little mower. I honestly thought when I started that up, being that the grass was like 3 foot high in places, it was just gonna like start up, and the minute I went to push it, it was just gonna die out, bog down and just splutter, and that was it. It weren't going to have any power. But on the highest setting, well, as you saw from the video, perfect. Didn't struggle at all. I managed to get the first cut done with relative ease. Then when I lowered it down, I made the mistake of putting it right down to 1, which is the very lowest setting. And when I first started cutting the grass, I forgot to take the mulching plug out. So obviously it chucked all the grass cuttings on the floor. And then I've put it down to 1, and because the ground and the grass is still soaking wet, it just clogged the blade up. It weren't because the motor was actually underpowered, it was because there was so much grass sticking around the blade that it just clogged it up. And you get a light on, if that happens, you get a red light that starts to flash on the front, and if you clear it, the light goes out and you can carry on. But overall, if you've got a small lawn like mine, I even think it'd cope with a bigger garden if you maintain it and cut it on a weekly basis, and it's dead short anyway. For keeping it short, it'd probably be okay. Now, I managed to almost cut mine 3 times. First time on the long setting, then I went down to 1, but there was too much cuttings and it's too wet, and it was just clogging up the blade. So I raised it to number 4, which is halfway, and then went over and it picked up a lot, but there was still a lot of grass cuttings. And then I think I went down to number 2, and where there was no grass cuttings, it was mowing fine. But it was only where there was clumps of like wet grass that it kind of struggled and started blocking the blade up. So as long as you keep on top of your lawn and you're mowing it regularly and it's dry, that mower's perfect. Like I say, it exceeded my expectations. So I thought the 36 volt would be overkill for mine, and yeah, that's gonna be fine for my garden. So overall, if you're looking for a Makita cordless DLM 330 RT mower cordless, then yeah, I reckon it's good. It's better than I thought it was going to be, actually. So now hopefully I can keep on top of it and do it every week. Once I've got all the wet clumps of grass cuttings up, it's not going to be a problem to fly through that. I mean, if that was a regular cut, it didn't even lose a bar on the first cut, even though it's soaking wet and really long. It was still like 4 bars on the battery. By the time I'd gone round it on number 4 and picked up a lot more of the wet grass, and it kept kind of bunging the blade up because of all the cuttings on the ground, I kind of kept having to clear it out. And then when I went down to number 2 to try it, it was fine when there was no cuttings, and I managed to almost do it 3 times before the battery died. But obviously, if it was done on a regular basis and was just a quick cut like once a week, it would have flown through that. The battery could have probably done 2 or 3 cuts, maybe even 4 if it's short, and that's even with a single battery. So overall, really impressed with it. I like it.